So I did one research internship under a professor at the Imperial College of London, and I also managed to accomplish some teaching assistant work under a professor of the University of Pennsylvania.
So you said that you scored a 326 on 340. Now that would put you in the top 1% of test takers, which is phenomenal. So can you tell me how you exactly prepared for the exam and how long you prepared for? Welcome to the podcast, everyone. Today, we have Kevin Suvarna. Kevin is a student at the Sardar Patel Institute of Technology in Mumbai. He's done his undergraduate engineering in computer science and has recently secured an admit from the University of Pennsylvania's Masters in Computer Science program, an Ivy League university. So today I sit down with him and I'm going to understand how he built his profile and how he went about the application process. So welcome, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you.
So I think, Kevin, the first thing that students would want to know is, what does your profile look like? Because the profile is the main thing that gets you into an Ivy League university. So could you shed some light on that?
Yeah, so for my profile, firstly, my CGPA in college was a 9 out of 10. Then my GRE score was 336 out of 340. And as you mentioned, the research projects also play a big role. So I did one research internship under a professor at the Imperial College of London. And I also managed to accomplish some teaching assistant work under a professor of the University of Pennsylvania.
So that's great. Actually, you have a very strong profile. I want to dig deeper on that. First, let's talk about the GRE. So you said that you scored a 326 on 340. Now that would put you in the top 1% of test takers, which is phenomenal. So can you tell me how you exactly prepared for the exam and how long you prepared for?
Yeah. So it all started a little early for me. I began in the second year of college in my fourth semester. At that time, I'd come to meet you, and you had actually shown me the benefits of starting early, that the score that I obtained would certainly not go to waste. And besides, it's always better to have the score ready with you so that the pressure won't really hit me later on. In terms of the process of my entire preparation, I first decided a deadline for when I wanted to give my GR. Then working backwards from there, I set deadlines for myself in terms of finishing a certain amount of the portion, finishing the full-length mock tests. And at this point, the admit abroad material really helped me. It helped me to stay on track, stay focused. And I also made persistent small daily efforts every day. This helped me to not take too much workload at any one time and helped me to ultimately reach my goal and give the GRE and get a really good score.
Got it. And so look, the GRE has three different sections.
Yeah.
So you have a quant section, you have a global section, and you have an AWA section. So did you find all these three sections equally easy or challenging, or did you find one section tougher than the others?
So for me, I definitely found the global section the toughest of the three. Specifically because the verbal section, the questions that are asked were not something that you expect. Especially I'm coming from an engineering background, and the question that we even learned in school back at the 10th grade are not the kind of questions they test on in the verbal section of GRE. They test your analytical thinking, they test how you analyze the questions. And that was a real change for me. So it was a struggle at the start. I made a lot of mistakes, but really listening to the tips from the admit abroad professor, the verbal professor, who taught us, especially for the reading comprehension section, how to look for clues in the passage and really zero in on the correct option. That helped me improve my chances of success. And I slowly improved in that area, and that helped me to ultimately get a really good GRE score at the end.
Got it. So, one question that students have when it comes to the GRE prep is, how long does it take? So how long will it take you? Like 2 months, 3 months, shorter, longer?
Yeah. So for me, it took longer than the average student. It took me almost 4 months from the day I started my preparation to the day I gave the GRE. The reason was, as I said, I started early. So what that meant was I did not have any pressure that I had to finish it very quickly. So I could take it at my own pace and have like small consistent efforts every day. At the same time, I had college going on. So whenever I had final semester exams or other activities that I had to give my time to, I could keep the GRE prep on pause for a while. And because of this, the time it took for me to prepare was a bit longer, but it helped me to get a full overall understanding of the portion at large made me feel relaxed when I gave the final GRE, and that I feel helped me in my final performance.
Got it. And students typically take a few mock tests to get used to the exact pattern.
Yeah.
So how many of those mock tests did you take?
So I took 6 full-length mock tests, all of them provided by Admit Abroad on the website. And it really helped me because the first few mock tests that I gave, it showed me where I was struggling, which I was not expecting at that point. It was the end of my preparation. So it showed me where I still had to focus on and I had to improve. I was able to do that again because I had enough time. And by the time I gave the final few mock tests, the performance had improved a lot. And this gave me confidence as well heading into the final GRE testing.
So I want to double click on that a bit. So this is a common problem that students face, and when they start taking mock tests, their score improves initially and then it plateaus off. And many students get frustrated because they don't understand how they can actually break that score barrier and move on to the next tier of scores. Did you face that barrier? And if you did, how did you break that? How did you improve your score?
Yeah. So when I was giving the mock test, I had planned to give all 6 of them in one shot. But as you said, like my scores were plateauing. Like after the first mock test, the next 2 were around the same level and they were a little lower than what I had expected. So I was a bit concerned about that, and I decided to take a pause and really analyze where I was going wrong in each of those mock tests. I was able to actually find patterns, especially in the mobile section, as I mentioned. Some of the comprehension questions I was not giving sufficient thought to. Sometimes I was overestimating myself, and I was not able to catch certain tricks that were used in the question. It was, in the sense, fooling me to choose the wrong answer.
Got it.
So that helped me to be more on alert in the future. And it really, analyzing those mistakes helped me to prepare for what was going to come. And after preparing in that sense, I gave my final 3 mock tests, and then I did see an improvement to the next level of scores.
Got it. Now you mentioned earlier that part of the profile that you built was working with faculty from universities abroad. I think you mentioned one PA-ship with the faculty and one RA-ship with one of the faculty from Imperial College. Right? I have noticed that often a secret weapon that students can deploy to get into top universities is to work with these international faculty and get a letter of recommendation from them.
But
the challenge is that most students are not able to approach these faculty or even get to work with them. So you've not just cracked one such role, you've cracked 2 different roles. So can you tell us about how that process went, how you went about securing these roles with these international faculty?
Yeah. So with respect to the University of Pennsylvania professor, I was able to connect with him thanks to you actually. You had introduced me to an online program taught by the professor, which I attended, and then I did pretty well at that course. That enabled him to trust me with the role of a teaching assistant for the same program the following year.
On it.
In the teaching assistant role, I worked very hard and my work was satisfactory, and so the professor was happy to give me an NOR. For the Imperial College London professor, there is a program called the Cambridge Future Scholars Program.
Right.
So I was able to find that program online, apply to it, and thus secure a research internship with this professor. So my advice to students would be to watch out for such online programs that are there, as these can give more success as compared to directly emailing professors. They may not reach out to you otherwise.
And I think, this experience of working with a faculty from Imperial College London is something that's going to be useful even in your masters, because you will be working with faculty over there on research projects. So in that sense, is also good training.
Yeah.
So can you, throw a bit light, can you talk a bit more about that in terms of what exactly was the work you did and how you went from ideation to doing the research to publishing the paper?
Yeah. So the work that I did with the professor at Imperial College was focused on the field of natural language processing and specifically in the field of healthcare clinical trial data. And the whole process was really guided and smoothed out by my mentor, because I was struggling, as you said, with the process of choosing the problem statement. I was given a lot of freedom, and because of that, it was a bit of a struggle to narrow down on something feasible and yet novel. He helped me to really choose certain forums and certain conferences where such ideas were being discussed so that I could narrow down on what was important. And then beyond that, he also helped me to have an overall structure on how to go about doing a research project, from the literature review to a certain amount of the weekly deadlines weekly meetups with the mentor, so he was able to keep a track of my progress, help me when I was getting stuck in places. And he really showed me ways that I could still go forward and areas that I could investigate further. So without really spoon feeding me, he did show me the areas I could improve on to finally get the research paper published. And that was something that I would not have learned on my own, maybe even a professor in India. Really having his international expertise really impacted me and will help me in the future.
Got it. And going from ideation till when you actually wrote the paper, how many weeks or months did that process take?
Yeah, so it took around 14 to 15 weeks. So each week we had one meetup, both of us, me and my mentor. And he was able to really check up on my progress, see if it was sufficient, whether I was lagging behind. He was able to give me like some encouragement and also like challenge me to go further, to put in more effort. And it also helped me to know what was working well and what was not working out, so that I would not spend too much time going down a rabbit hole. So these 14, 15 weeks were really helpful, each and every one of them. And yeah, I feel like I really benefited a lot through it.
So if I want to recap, it took you around 4 months to do your GRE there. It took you another 3.5, 4 months to write this paper, and you were working side by side with the other faculty as a TA. Seems like there's a lot on your plate. Plus, you maintained a very high GPA, 9 on 10. Many students are going to look at this and struggle with it. They know how to be able to figure out how to manage their time. So how did you manage all of this without affecting your academics or ish?
Yeah. So like, one phrase would be to start early. That is something that really helped. So as you mentioned, there were a lot of things on my plate, but actually no two of those things were happened at the same time.
Got it.
So my GRE prep, I first focused on that in my second year, and I had not even started working on Professor Bell.
Okay.
After finishing my GRE prep, that's when I met with the professor at the University of Pennsylvania, and I started working with him. At this point, I still had 2 more years in my college. So I had sufficient time before the application started, which will put me in the 4th year of college. So I was able to work with the professor at the University of Pennsylvania for that entire year. And then in my final year, for those few months before the application start, I was able to start this research assistant post with a PhD college professor. So just starting early helps you to balance your college responsibilities as well. Because when the college workload increases, since you have enough time, like if you're starting the GRE in a second year, you don't have to give it immediately. There's no deadline as such. So if there's work piling up for you, you can just say, I'm going to step back from the GRE prep for a moment and get back to it. And so you can focus on college and then afterwards get back to the GRE prep. And that will really help you to balance everything and really achieve your highest in all areas.
So basically what you're saying is start early, forward in the second year, because that way you can do things sequentially.
Yeah.
And at any given point of time, you don't have too many things on your plate. So then it becomes manageable.
Yeah, that's good.
Got it. Talking about the application itself, typically universities ask for a statement of purpose, a few letters of recommendation, and a resume.
Yeah.
Resume, I think people who don't have too much of a problem with crafting letters of recommendation go recommend their rights. But the statement of purpose is something that students struggle with a lot. So the UPenn statement asks students to clearly articulate what their goals are and how the programs will help them achieve their goals.
Yeah.
They also expect the student to write in their statement of purpose how they will contribute to the class. So how did you go about writing the statement of purpose? How long did it take? How many drafts did you have to write before it was finalized? Maybe just talk a bit about that.
Yeah. So the statement of purpose, it is important that it is authentic and original to you as an individual. So for me, I made a decision that I will not use ChatGPT at all while writing the SOP, although a lot of my classmates were like trying to use that because it was a big risk if it was detected. And as I said, the authenticity will be lost if you use an AI tool. So an important part of the SOP is that you present a coherent story of your life, combining your past accomplishments with your future aspirations. For me, what really helped me was Albert Abroad's counselor, who was with me right from the first draft. I had made a lot of errors. I was not sure how exactly to present my story. It was getting a bit convoluted. But he helped me to really finalize what was important. There were a lot of drafts. We sent at least around 7 to 8 drafts. from the
7 to 8 times.
7 to 8
So you
times.
revised your SOP 7 to 8 times.
Yes, 7 to 8 times. I revised my SOP so that I could get it to the optimum level that would be acceptable by these top universities. And yeah, overall, I would say that the statement of purpose, it has to be specific to the university you're applying to. A lot of people think you can just copy and paste it for the other universities, but it's important that the university knows why they're choosing that university. So researching about the faculty at that university, some research projects that are happening there, and showing why you would want to work with it, connecting it to your field of interest. That is also something that's very important that I learned about through this process of reviewing and re-editing and redrafting my resume. So it was a long process at the start, but since I started early, this was also something I started early. I did not have any pressure as such, and the final product was something really good, and I was happy with.
I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but in which one did you end up applying to UPenn? Was it in November, December? Because typically, the application window for American universities goes from November till around March.
Yeah.
So roughly in that time period, when was it that you applied?
Yeah. So actually, for the University of Pennsylvania, it has two deadlines, an early deadline and a regular deadline.
Right.
The early deadline was the end of October.
Hmm.
And since I'd already started all of my preparation, my profile building earlier, I was anyway ready with everything before September began. My SFB was almost complete by the month of September. So in the first few weeks of October itself, I completed my application and submitted it to the University of Pennsylvania.
Got it. So you applied it early deadlines.
Yeah.
And so that's the advice actually I give to a lot of students, because what I've noticed is that the admit rates for students who apply in the early deadlines is around 2 to 3x higher,
Yeah.
especially for Ivy Tier universities. And I think that's because at the beginning of the application season, the university doesn't have any seats that are filled. So it's easier for them to also give admit. So I think that's a tip for everyone. So again, congratulations getting into UPenn. Do you have any last word of advice for students who might be wanting to study at UPenn or any top-ranked university abroad?
Yeah. So my advice would be, first, believe that it is possible. Although it may seem like a huge task to achieve education abroad at a top university, it is very possible. That it is important to focus on what is in your hands, your hard work, and your plan. And that brings me to my second point. Have a definite plan. Both the how and the what. How are you going to prepare and what are you going to study? And the what aspect was really helped by Admit Abroad's materials and give me clarity on what exactly I should study and refer to. And having a plan helps you not to procrastinate your higher studies prep, which I saw happen with many of my classmates. They pushed it till it was too late. And finally, although this will require a lot of time, a lot of effort, you must realize that the goal is going to be worth it. And so because of that, you should be willing to put in your best efforts, put in a lot of hard work, and surely you will achieve your goal.
Great. So I'm sure that was very insightful for everyone who's watching. So everyone who's watching this podcast, thank you for seeing this. We'll be coming up with many more episodes like this from students who have secured admission to top F universities across the world. If you like this episode, please share this episode with your friends, like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, please add them to the comments. We'll be more than happy to answer those. Thank you and see you in the next one.